Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to my last AMA in 2023. We have a whole bunch of questions as usual. I will read up the questions so people that are not watching but only listening can hear the questions. And as I said, we have at least 30 questions today, so let's get started. I'll take the first question. In the previous AMA, you stated that before Christmas you expect to announce 1 or 2 bigger corporations who are building on Concordium. Is that still happening? Yes, I'm happy to say it is, and why shouldn't I announce one myself here today? Immediately after this AMA, we will send out a more detailed announcement about a partnership with Hitachi, the big Japanese corporation that we are going to cooperate with on ID biometrics. But you can read more about it. So I think that counts as a very substantial partnership that we're proud of. We have another one I have in mind. I'm not 100% sure that we will make that before New Year, but here for today, at least you can read much more about the partnership with Hitachi on our channels later today. Next question, please. After Lone left the CEO role, you mentioned in your AMA you'll find a new CEO within 6, 9, 12 months. How's that process going? That is correct. That will be my goal within the foreseeable future. I have had a couple of conversations, but we are not close to any specific decision or announcement there. For now, I'm happy to take the role as a more active chairman, but it is definitely still the intention to appoint a full-time CEO. So we'll let you know when we get further down that route. Next question, please. Is there a risk of delisting due to the lack of trading volume? Hello again. I understand we had a little technical glitch there. Apologies for that, but let's continue where we led off. I think the last question was around Bitcoin and the sort of bull run we're seeing now. I think the bull run in Bitcoin and Ethereum is driving clearly some of the liquid altcoins as a natural and usual correlation. I think the reason that we kind of live our own life, we haven't followed with the others. On the other hand, over the last 24 hours, when Bitcoin had dropped off quite considerably, we didn't follow it down. So I think we have to recognize at the moment we're kind of living our own life, which is good and bad. It means that it's very much about us generating interest in our particular pocket, and given the current too low levels of liquidity, it shouldn't necessarily take that much, but we do recognize that it is important to see a liquid market. So I don't have any specific explanation for it, except I can see that our correlation with Bitcoin is lower than many other tokens, both when it goes up and down. Next question, please. Shortly after you sold your Saxo shares to Geely, they invested in your new venture. How did you get them instantly involved? What's the story? That's correct that Geely became the majority holder of Saxo Bank when I sold out. And obviously they were excited about that project and excited about the new project that I was organizing at the time. So I guess it's just a vote of confidence in our ability to deliver interesting projects. Also, of course, they're very aware of the opportunity of blockchain in mainland China, and we are cooperating with them in a joint venture around this. So they're a very valued partner and a very good entry point to China. So we continue to develop our strategy with them. Next question, please. Is there a potential partnership with Banking Circle? I know the guys at Banking Circle very, very well because it came as an offspring from Saxo Bank, used to be called Saxo Payment Solutions. We sold that off to a VC several years back, and they've done very well. Great people, very smart people. So we are continuously in good contact, but there's no current plans for a specific partnership. But who knows? It's people we know well, and we continue to exchange ideas and observations with the people there. Next question, please. Do you expect the CCD exchange traded fund to be launched in the future? I doubt it that would be at a point where there was much more liquidity and much more interest in this particular token. We can see, of course, the ongoing debacle about ETFs in the States, where even the biggest financial players like BlackRock are struggling to get approval for an ETF. So I don't think that's a route we're even going to try to go down. On the other hand, in Europe, of course, we have had ETNs and ETPs and ETFs for a number of years. There's probably about 150 exchange traded products for various cryptocurrencies of bigger or smaller importance. So it's a very US-centric thing to think that there's no ETF for Bitcoin. There are plenty of products that are very similar to ETFs in Europe with about 5 billion in market cap, as I recall, across all products. So there could potentially be an opportunity to launch a European-based product at some point in time, but it's not something that's high on our current agenda. Next question, please. When do you believe traditional institutions will start covering the Web3 space in the same manner as traditional assets? Well, there's no question that blockchain tokenization has a lot to offer the traditional financial sector. There's so many issues with costs, with settlement, with finality in the old system, if you will, that I think many financial institutions are yearning to start bringing out products in this space, and of course some of them also are, and there's certainly a lot of sandbox testing going on in many financial institutions. But the big caveat there is that the regulatory framework for these new products is sketchy. You know, in some places, some jurisdictions you're further than others, but you always have to remember that for a TradFi institution, the number one consideration is really about regulatory compliance, and it should be. And as long as that environment is not crystal clear, you'll not see a massive takeoff in that space. But I am pretty sure that in the long run, particularly tokenization of digital, but in particular real-world assets, will be a major use case for the banks, because it provides everything that would interest the bank. It provides more product. It creates a better process. It creates lower costs, which is exactly what banks are typically looking for, new products that they can bring out to their clients, and tokenization will bring a lot of opportunities to that space. But it will only really flourish when regulation is crystal clear. But I have no doubt that it will be a major use case for blockchain, if not the major use case for blockchain in the foreseeable future. So very optimistic around tokenization, and also something we have as one of our targeted verticals of particular interest. Next question, please. Don't you think a continuous declining CCD is harming the project? It does not help building a thriving community. Where does the selling pressure come from? Are these early investors building? Of course, a positive development in a token is positive for a project, and the opposite is probably also the case for a declining token price. So I fully share the desire for seeing a positive environment around CCD, and something that makes people enthusiastic and engaged. Unfortunately, the market is the market. It decides what it wants to do. You can argue that a project of the sophistication and complexity of Concordium is valued differently to many other projects of similar characteristics, or maybe even of less quality. But at the end of the day, it is about the market, and it is about us, you and ourselves, to build the awareness around it. But ultimately, I think the winners in this game will be people that build quality product, manage to engage use cases, and if any kind of price increase is not built on that, it'll be temporary. So while we wait for more awareness, we keep building. I just announced another major corporate partnership earlier in this AMA. So we keep building, and eventually we hope that will be recognized also by the market. Next question, please. Is the team familiar with Bitvavo, and if so, do you consider listing there? Bitvavo seems like an important exchange for the future when it comes to the focus of European markets and MiCA. We are in conversations with Bitvavo for, I think, the last 6 months or so. At the end of the day, the decision to list or not list resides with the particular exchange in question, but we definitely are familiar with them and we speak to them, and we will see what their longer-term decision might be or not be on that subject. But we are familiar with them, yes. Next question, please. Do you still believe there will be no bull market? I don't think I ever said there will be no bull market. I just said I think it'll be a different bull market next time. I'm a very, very firm believer in blockchain. I'm a very firm believer of the relevance of blockchain to many, many industries, and hence I do believe there'll be another bull market in blockchain-related projects. That has never been in question. The question really is what will be the components of the next bull market. Now, if you take Bitcoin separately, because Bitcoin is in a category of its own, it's not really a sort of an industrial or use case based blockchain to the same extent as many others. It's more of the store value argument, and you know, as long as people agree that this is a valid store value, it will be have potential for rallying, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. I think the rest of the market is more, I think, ultimately dependent on showing progress in actually being applied to real world uses, to be seen in projects where they improve processes, improve security, improve transparency. My argument has never been with a bull market, but more the components of a bull market. At the moment, we are seeing something of a rally. Now, the technical definition of a bull market is higher highs and higher lows. And to be honest, when we're at a point where you kind of retrace anywhere from half of a fall to a little more, a little less for many projects, you're not technically in a bull market. Seen from that perspective, you need to see newer highs in order to confirm a bull market, and higher lows also. So this could also be a bear market correction, but at least it's nice to see that there's more optimism in the market. But technically, we're nowhere near bull market at the moment. So this could be anything really. In my view, the jury's still out on what's going on at the moment. But the key thing here is, I do believe there will be a bull market, but it will be in projects that provide real value and real use cases and have real implementations out there. Next question, please. Does Concordium value its community, and how can trust be restored? Shouldn't the focus be on creating a community in order to attract more projects? Absolutely, we value your community, which is one of the reasons I'm sitting here speaking to you. I think a community around the blockchain is incredibly important, not just a sort of a group of people interested in the project intellectually or as something they want to be engaged with. Also, developer community is very important, and we're fully aware of that, and I think actually are engaging more and more with the community. So I think we're doing a lot of stuff here to build a community, and also actually, if you look across various channels, the community is generally increasing. You know, so this last week we had a very nice uptick in our YouTube channel. So we value it a lot. I don't know if trust needs to be restored, or some people might have trust, some people might not. But I don't think we can do much other than building a great blockchain and keep trying to attract more projects, and of course engaging the community as much as possible. And again, as I often do, I will also highlight your own importance in that. Help share all the good news that comes out. Help share the communication, support it, and make us more visible. So you can also do your bit there. But we for sure understand the importance of community, and I think we're doing a lot to support it, also more than we have done in the past. So very important, and that's across both generating liquidity in the token, attracting projects as stated in the question, general interest, general visibility. So let's all cooperate to build stronger communities across the various verticals where community is relevant. Next question, please. Why not use some funds to provide liquidity published in crypto journals and try to attract more devs? I actually think we are doing all of the above. You will see a liquidity increase in Concordex quite shortly, which is a co-production between the foundation and the market maker liquidity provider. So I think we are doing that. I think we are putting out a lot of new stories across various media. And also, as you know, we have grant programs, etc., to support projects and use cases that seem interesting for Concordium. So I think we are doing across all these channels to do things that make it clear that we have this interest. Could we do more? You always can, but I think it again also ties in with the communities, etc., to help spread the word around what a great blockchain we actually have here. But funds are going in that direction, and possibly will adjust the size of that going forward. Next question, please. Why hasn't the website been barely updated since feedback was asked, in particular the full team and tech product roadmap are still not mentioned? I agree with you. We recognize that we have a couple of updates that we owe you. I know that there were a bunch of updates of team pictures done here during the last week. So that will be updated very shortly, and so will the tech product roadmap. But you're absolutely right. That is something we owe you, and we will deliver that in the very near future. Next question, please. Is Concordium too modest in highlighting the achievements? I don't know. I think we do bring out relevant news around new projects, new technical enhancements, new partnerships on an ongoing basis. We have generally taken a slightly conservative view in that we announce things when we have them and we know that they're going to happen with certainty, and the partners are ready for it. You know, the Hitachi thing I mentioned earlier is an example of that. I've known about that use case for many months, but today was the right time to bring it out. And I know there are other examples of people out there telling you all sorts of stuff about what they're going to be doing 2-3 years down the line, and when you get there, everybody has forgotten about it, and sometimes it gets delivered and sometimes not. We try to talk about things that we either deliver or know with certainty that we are going to deliver. And that, of course, is maybe slightly more conservative or modest, if you want to use that word, than some other projects. But we like to play it on the safe side, in that what we say we deliver, and what we deliver we tell you about. Next question, please. Does Concordium dare to be bold against showcases, infrastructure, update people on development, ongoing partnerships and use cases? Why not be proud and share the same news everywhere? Well, that kind of, I think, links back to the question before. I actually think we are doing that. We are certainly proud of what we're doing. It's a very high quality project we're building. Everywhere is a big word. I think what's important to understand here is that these channels are fairly fragmented. I believe we announced most of the things that we find are relevant to announce, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody sees them across all channels. So there might easily be things you miss in terms of what we announce. We track it ourselves, and there's no question that the amount of content going out and the new stories and updates, etc., is very much growing compared to a year ago, and that's factual tracking that we do. But it may not always be easy when you're sitting on the outside and trying to follow it, which we appreciate very much. But you may also miss some of the stories, because we are actually delivering a lot of content and news across multiple channels, and give a lot of interviews, do a lot of AMAs, and appear in various news channels very regularly. So any ideas for how we could do better, or where you think we should be, or where you can help us get more visibility, or where you can share the news, is very welcome. So we are always ready to listen to good ideas. So feel free to shoot some of them off at any time, and we'll evaluate what we think we should do, and potentially sometimes not do. And actually, we do get a lot of these contacts, both from community and from service providers that have all sorts of great ideas, and sometimes not so great ideas, but please keep them coming, and we will listen very carefully. Next question, please. The collaboration with Membrane Finance and Euro-E looks great. Do you already see traction with TradFi businesses? I agree. I think the Euro-E is a very important initiative, both because of the distinct lack of credible euro-based stablecoins out there. Most of the stablecoin business, like a very large percentage, is obviously in dollar-denominated stablecoins, and there is a big need for stablecoins defined in other currencies, not least the euro, which is the second largest currency of the world. So I'm very excited about that project as well. It's not launched yet. It will be before long. So of course it's a theoretical thing you can begin to discuss, but we are seeing interest in not just TradFi, but people that actually facilitate B2B or B2C payments, and feel somewhat restricted in typically really only having dollar-based stablecoins, where they're actively looking for other currencies with credible stablecoins. And I think it's important to stress credible, which I believe Euro-E and Membrane Finance is delivering, a very solid regulated euro stablecoin infrastructure, which of course is important for us, and also the reason why we chose to collaborate with them rather than a number of other alternatives that have been presented to us. So I think it's very exciting. I think it's very important, and we look very much forward to launching it before too long. Next question, please. When do you plan to start wide and wide marketing campaign? Depending on what wide and wide exactly means, I actually believe that we've done a substantial number of marketing campaigns in recent months across a number of different channels. We get offers continuously from people that want to help marketing or want to get paid for us to use this, that, or the other channel. Some of it interesting, some of it not so much. But we are continuously looking at how do we get the best amount of quality exposure for a reasonable and rational cost. So if you have any ideas, again, feel free to bring them forward to us, and we will consider it. I think awareness and visibility of the whole project is critical, and it's a major focus area now and in the coming year. So any great ideas will be welcome, and we will evaluate them like all the other ideas we have presented for. Next question, please. Back to Euro-E. When does Euro-E go live on Concordium? I believe it will be in January. All of the sort of work is done. There's some testing and audit work happening at the moment. I believe we're pretty much ready to go, subject to no hiccups in those phases with test and audit. So my expectation is absolutely in January. And of course, that's not just like a one-off event. That's a new tool in the toolbox, if you will, for various DEXs, for various use cases, that they now have access to a credible stable coin. So it's not just about going live as a one-off event, but more of a continuous process where after the live launch, we will look to get that integrated in many different contexts. So but the sort of direct launch of it on Concordium, I fully expect to be in January. Next question, please. Please tell us more about the Abu Dhabi event. The Abu Dhabi event was Abu Dhabi Finance Week, which is a broader event than just blockchain and crypto related, but there is of course an element of that. So a number of the bigger players in that space was there, but there was also a number of other issues covered around Abu Dhabi's quite ambitious plan to be a bigger financial center and develop a whole range of verticals in the country. So it was a broad-based event, I would say. Had the chance to meet up with some partners and possible projects down there. So business as usual. When I do my travel, you have some meetings, you meet up with some friends and some partners and discuss the state of things. And I thought it was valuable to go to, and in general interesting to hear about what's going on in Abu Dhabi. That I really think you shouldn't underestimate. This is a very serious attempt to play a significant role in the financial system, and the Finance Week is a very large event with many thousands of participants. So well worth spending your time on if you have a chance next year. Next question, please. When does Energinet go live on Concordium? I believe in sometime in Q1, where it'll start out with some corporates for testing purposes and the production side of the Danish energy grid. And then it will be rolled out broader and broader in the coming period. But there's a Q1 expectation there. Next question, please. Multiple people have stated that a new strategic funding round is ongoing. Is this correct? I don't know if there's a specific sort of running up and down Sandhill Street Road type initiative going on. In fact, I do know that is not ongoing. We're speaking to interested parties on an ongoing basis. As I said in my last AMA, perfectly happy about funding for 2024. One way or the other. So we take that as we go, but we're not out on a sort of a major trip around to all the VCs in the world, but we speak to various VCs regularly and other people with interest in the project. So we are good for the foreseeable future. Next question, please. A kingdom for more liquidity coming. I can only agree with that. One major issue for Concordium, I would say more so really than the valuation of the token, is the liquidity on the exchanges, because with liquidity comes interest, with liquidity comes trading. So I think more liquidity on the exchanges is a separate goal in its own right, and a lot of the stuff we do to increase interest in trading our particular token is also connected to some of these collaborations we have had with on-ramps like Bit2Me, with KuCoin recently. That is really an attempt to increase interest and increase liquidity. So we are very aware of the importance of liquidity. Of course, I am also, with a strong TradFi background, liquidity is super important for any asset, irrespective of the quality of the underlying assets. So it's very high on the agenda. Apart from that, good luck against Galatasaray tonight. I appreciate that very much. We are playing the final group play match in Champions League, FC Copenhagen against Galatasaray. Our destiny is in our own hands, a victory against Galatasaray, and we proceed to the eighth finals of Champions League, which will only be the second time in the club's history. So we are all very, very excited, which is also why I have to run a pretty tight ship on this AMA. So we will finish at latest 1 o'clock, as I actually have to go to the official Champions League launch with the Galatasaray management immediately after this. So thank you for that support, but unfortunately, I think Galatasaray also wants to win the match, so will remain to be seen. But cross your fingers for us tonight, unless you're a Galatasaray fan. Thank you for that. Next question. How does giveaway campaign help create better and more sustainable communities? Well, giveaway, I assume you mean airdrops and the various things we've been doing with for example, KuCoin recently. Now, if you want an exchange to help you create better visibility, etc., they very often want to do that through some kind of reward mechanism to their users, because otherwise, what's in it for the exchange? What's in it for the users? So it's not always the way that we would necessarily optimally design something like that. But the idea here is, of course, to engage more people into Concordium, more people to be aware of Concordium, more people to add liquidity to the various pools of Concordium trading. So I think it's an important thing to do, and if you want to engage with exchanges and where obviously the people that are closest to actually being able to interact, because they are on an exchange where they have access to the token, it seems a pretty logical place to do it. But the ways that this is being suggested by the exchange is very much driven by their ideas often, and you do what they believe drive those objectives. So I believe it in a controlled fashion. It is a valuable mechanism to increase interest, and I think it's something we will do on a selective basis also in the future. Next question, please. Does the team analyze the success of their biggest marketing campaign separately? Yes, absolutely. Sometimes, of course, that's easier said than done, because while you cannot always tell exactly what drove a given desirable outcome, like a growth in a community. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't be absolutely clear on it, but absolutely we have tried in the last months of this year various different approaches. We do analyze as closely as we can what works best, what works not so well, and for obvious reasons focusing on where we see the biggest outcome. So that analysis is important, but not always as easy as you might think. Next question, please. What percentage are still holding their coins per airdrop? I.e., I guess the concern here is you do a small airdrop to somebody, they go out and sell the token immediately, and it actually has a net negative impact on the token value. As I said, I think there are other reasons to do it, which is also engaging people, making them aware that this option exists, that there is a token here that could potentially be interesting, a project that could potentially be interesting for them. So I think that pulls in the other direction. Specifically, it's hard to say on exchanges because it's hard to see what individual exchange users do, but actually we analyzed our Bit2Me campaign where we do have a possibility to see what's happening in individual wallets, and interestingly, out of quite specifically, I was told 772 wallets that engaged with CCD, all of them except a single one, I think, actually maintain their exposure to CCD, and that's something we can track. That's of course connected to the nature of that particular campaign, where there is a reward system related to the fact that you hang on to them, so that will play a role. But in that particular case, it's an extremely high percentage. On the exchanges, it's more difficult to assess, and I believe it's a mixture of people that hold on and potentially buy additionally into the token, and some of them that do their bit, do their different chores, and some of them might also just sell the token again. But at least it adds to liquidity, it adds to visibility and awareness, and it is one of the tools we have to make people more aware of the existence of a really great blockchain called Concordium. And again, obviously, where you are on an exchange where there is direct access to CCD, that is a higher probability of engagement than if you go to a group of people that can be very interesting but don't have direct access. So same with Bit2Me and other things we've done. So we kind of prioritize those types of campaigns when it comes to airdrops because it's meaningful in the sense that people can actually subsequently engage further with the project. Next question, please. What percentage of airdrop receivers make subsequent buys of airdrops after subsequent buys of CCDs after the airdrop per airdrop? Again, difficult to assess on exchanges. We should actually be able to assess that. And for example, the Bit2Me campaign, I checked with the team, and we don't have those numbers, but it's a good suggestion, and we will look into that for a future answer to this question. But it is difficult to assess what's happening directly on an exchange where you don't have access to the activities of individual users, not even really on an anonymized basis. But it's a good question, and I think a relevant question that we'll take to heart and try to answer at a later point. Next question, please. How many developers use cases leads have come out of each airdrop? I don't actually think that's the purpose of the airdrop. I explained to you earlier that the purpose is to get people that have an opportunity to engage with the token on preferably on venues where it's possible to do so. So that's more about creating more liquidity and more interest in the token than it is about attracting developers and use cases. On developers and use cases and leads, that's a different activity. That's, for example, our grant program, where if people come and say they need some help in the startup, or they would like a grant to convert some smart contracts for interacting with Concordium. I would say that's more down that route, and that may include a CCD incentivation sometimes, or a hard dollar incentivation. And then we have, of course, as I've spoken about on other locations, a more outbound proactive lead generation, which is simply reaching out to companies and businesses and projects where we think these particular projects could have a benefit from Concordium over other possible options that they have, and that's a proactive reach out and say, you know what, guys, maybe you should have a look at this, and then follow up on them. So I'd say that's a different activity to the airdrop, which is more about visibility awareness at the traders and the perhaps more retail users level. Next question, please. I notice that people keep asking the same question about marketing in particular. I understand these questions, yet I cannot believe Concordium doesn't know what's needed to sell the ship. Are you deliberately holding back? If so, why? I'm not sure I really understand the question, nor the questions that it relates to that keeps getting repeated, right? I think we have stepped up significantly on our marketing efforts and our content production and our campaigns, etc. I think we tell about most of the interesting news we have to tell, be that new projects, new partnerships, new technological developments, etc. So I think we actually do know what's needed in terms of communication, and the people that are involved in that are people with deep experience in many cases. So I don't believe we're holding something deliberately back. Of course, there's a question of how much money you want to spend on campaigns, etc., and that's an assessment of cost benefit in each case. So I think we're improving significantly in that area. And again, as I said, if anybody has great ideas to things we're not doing today, or things we should be doing more, they're always very welcome. I think it's also important to remember that a successful blockchain project, a long-term successful blockchain project, is not just about marketing and hype. It is about delivering some meaningful interactions with real business, where be that crypto native Web3 business or more traditional business processes. It is about adding value to something out there to make a process better, more secure, safer, more transparent, the stuff that I already mentioned earlier. And I think I know there are other chains and even some projects that are entirely based on hype and FOMO, but I don't think that's a sustainable strategy, because if there is no substance underneath, maybe you can talk it up with a very fickle group of people moving left, right, and center, but of course they'll get out as quickly as they came in. So I think it's a broader discussion than just marketing. It's also about the commercialization of the chain, about the development of interesting use cases, etc. Because if it was only marketing, then any result will be fairly short-lived, in my opinion. So it's a combination of marketing, commercial, product development, use case adoption that will drive the success of this project and any project in the long run, which also leads back to my the earlier question about the bull market. I do believe that there will be a significant interest in real blockchain use at some point in the future. I do not believe so much that we'll see a bull run on some of the same FOMO and hype as we saw in 2021, where most of the stuff was actually pretty unfounded in reality. So yes, there will be a bull market, but it will, I believe, be in projects that actually show that they have a real reason for existing and a real value to bring to the world, if you will. Next question, please. And that is the last question I see, which suits me well. Thank you very much for all your questions. If you did send something in that we didn't manage to pick up, we will answer it next time, so keep them coming, also in between AMAs. But the last question, when we'll see marketing focusing on Concordium as an investment object? Well, you will not see that, because I believe anybody that focuses their marketing on their utility of payment tokens as investment objects are asking for trouble. It's non-compliant. It's something that might come back to haunt them at a later point. So you will not be seeing us say, fill your boots here, and then you'll see this or that amount of X's coming. It's up to people to assess whether they think this token is interesting to hold or not hold, whether that's for use case purposes, because they want to be part of the community, because they want to be part of a broader success and adoption. But it's very deliberate that you don't see that kind of advertising from our side, because we don't believe it's appropriate, and we believe it's something that will come back to haunt many projects that have done so in the past. So regulation is there for a reason. People must make their own judgments. We're not gonna be telling people what they should do in terms of how they want to interact with the token. So that was the last question for this time. Thank you very much for listening in. Remember that while we are doing what we can to make the project visible, to create awareness around it, your participation in that is also very important. Your sharing, liking, linking, good ideas, communication is super important to add to our efforts and to amplify our efforts. So please never hold back in terms of telling other people about Concordium or sharing interesting stories around us. That is very important and very valuable, and one of the roles that we always hope that the community takes, and that it does take to a large extent. We appreciate that very much. Keep it coming. Keep good ideas coming. Keep questions for me coming. But you probably won't see me before Christmas again. So I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you all very happy holidays, and hope you will get to spend some quality time with friends and family. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all when you get there. And thank you very much, as usual, for listening in. We appreciate your interest and your support very much. Thank you, everyone.